Hi everyone, welcome to Mompreneur Space live show podcast where I interview inspiring moms from all around the world so that you can learn from them how they overcome their challenges and struggles as mompreneurs. I'm your host Kenneth Chu and today is 114th episode of Mompreneur Space live show podcast. This podcast started with a very simple thought of sharing inspiring mompreneur stories so that aspiring mompreneurs will be able to resonate and start to make a difference in their lives and their family's life. I've met and come across a lot of amazing mompreneur stories, which I'm very blessed to be able to share with you guys and share their stories. Hopefully that it could inspire you to start your entrepreneurial journey. Today's guest is an amazing mompreneur who is also my very good friend, where we know each other for at least more than 5 years, where we published our book from the same publisher and we spoke on the stage together, sharing about our authorship journey. She's an amazing and humble lady, and now she's in Singapore. I've connected with her. I love it so much and the amazing things she's doing. So in this episode, we'll be talking about how to make a real difference in your life and career with Sharesz T. Wilkinson, who is the CEO and the founder of Resilient Power. To date, she has received 16 International Changemaker Awards and nominations and is among the top 50 global women to look out for in 2023. A Forbes and Harvard Business Review Advisory Council member, strategic advisor, and international executive communication expert. She's appointed as a senator for USA in the World Business Angel Investment Forum and a member of the Global Women Leader Committee. As an international speaker and best-selling author, published on Forbes, BBC, Thrive Global, Authority Magazine, HollywoodWeekly, ValiantCEO, and Corporate Investment Times. So without further ado, let us welcome Sharesz. Hi, Sharesz. Okay, hold on. Okay, yep. Welcome.
Hello, good morning, Kenneth. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me here today. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Yes. I'm excited because finally got you onto my show, and now you're in Singapore. I love it. We can meet in person because the last time we met was before the pandemic, during one of our sharing in KL. So it is and recently you just shared some of the photos, right? So it brings back all the memories that I was in KL enjoying myself and all that stuff. So before we start, right, maybe you can do a short introduction of yourself, especially for those who are seeing you for the first time. Share with them where are you from and currently what are you doing.
Okay, so in a nutshell, I have been a change maker for over 20 years. I lived and traveled to many different countries around the globe. I lived in 12, and wherever I went, I tried to make a difference, working with leaders in the respective areas and letting it ripple down through organizations, companies, and entire nations. So that key point takeaway has always been, how do we move societies from where they are forward to where they could be? And this is on many different levels and in many different areas. It has been a very interesting journey over the last 20 years. And I'm looking forward to share a little bit of that with you in terms of experience, as at the same time, I as well raised my 2 kids over the last 25 years.
Wow.
And that's successfully done by now. And it was a very adventurous journey.
Good. So maybe you can share with the audience like how do you get into entrepreneurship, right? You because you have been doing this for many years. So how do you chance upon entrepreneurship and how is it for you as a mom?
Yeah. It started 27 years ago. I just finished university, was in my first job, had a great salary, an apartment, a car, everything else. Had a life, was very well connected. I'm originally from Switzerland, and I had a car accident. Somebody drove into me from the back while I was standing in front of a pedestrian zone, and that changed my life in a split second. After that, it was a huge downward spiral due to health issues and problems that arose more and more and more with not being able to work anymore. And eventually I lost everything. So entrepreneurship was the only way out. It was literally do or die. And finding ways to make life work with two children, a really bad health, and no way out. So that was my start. And it was a fire baptism, I call it, because I was not an entrepreneur before, really. I just started being active in the professional life. I've always been very, very active. I've always been creating, producing, doing things. I was never much of a consumer. So for many, many years, I didn't even watch television, or I didn't have time. If I had time, I was reading books, or I was meeting friends, or I was busy. I'm originally from Zurich in the cultural space. I was 10 years in cultural arts and management, and made things happen. I was always at the cusp of things starting, and I love this atmosphere where you create together with other people new approaches and things that make life more interesting, easier, or more beautiful for other people. That has been the main motivator in the beginning. And then over time, of course, raising two children, going to different countries, it wasn't on corporate packages. I did that by myself. It was a necessity for survival, in the sense of always looking for what's needed right now. How can I make a mark? Where can I make a contribution? How can I make it relevant? And over the years, it accumulates. So that's how this whole track record came to happen. And I'm naturally very, very curious. So no matter what happens, I'm a little bit like Candide in Voltaire. If you don't know the book, I suggest to read it. It's a very small book, but it's
Mm.
kind of the eternal optimist, kind of the pragmatic
Mm.
optimist. So I always look for new ways to do and experience things. And that's the creativity part again as well. I think for entrepreneurship, it's really important to have that, because otherwise, when adversity strikes or you have to deal with obstacles and challenges, it's very easy to give up. But if you have this inner push and purpose and curiosity pushing you forward, and always looking for new ways, it's a bit like playing chess. You always have to figure out what's the next move. How do I play the game? Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win, but it's always about the process. And you have to enjoy the process.
Yep.
Otherwise, I do
Yep.
not recommend this journey to anyone, because it's very intense. And you might know about that, Kenneth, right? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. For me, 7 years, it has been a roller coaster ride. And just now I realized that when you say that, right, it seems that that incident itself, it has unleashed all these entrepreneurial traits that you have. Like you will say, you were curious, you have that intrinsic motivation to find out more, to create things, which is
Mhm.
fundamentally what entrepreneurs are doing, right? We create from nothing to something. We are solving someone's problem. We're always reaching out to people. We'll always come up with creative ways to make things better, to do things better, right? So is that some of the traits over the years of 30 over years or 20 over years that you see, right? That kind of keep you go keep you keep moving
Yeah.
you forward in this.
I think in my case, definitely the purpose was my children, right? I wanted to give them the best possible upbringing in a variety of cultures and countries, and I did. It wasn't easy, but then again, nothing ever is. So I think you have to choose your heart, and these are all these sentences that you read online, right? But when the rubber hits the road, it's really a very different experience, and many people crumble. And no, it did not unleash my entrepreneurial streaks. I went rock bottom, and once you're down there, the only way you can go is up. So I'm not recommending this, but this is what happened to me. If you have nothing to lose, you have everything to win. And why is this really helpful in a way? Is because fear doesn't matter anymore. So
Yeah, that's the last
no,
thing
it
on
is
your mind, right?
always on your
Fear.
mind every single second when you start out doing new things. And by the way, that's the same for everybody. It doesn't matter how successful someone is. It's just you learn how to do things afraid. And you do it regardless. You do it anyways. You have to learn over the years how to override the fear. And fear is a physical response. It's not in your mind. Many people think, oh, I just have to think positive or do affirmations every morning and everything works out just fine. It doesn't work that way, because fear is a physical reaction to a survival mechanism in our brain, and we need to learn how to override it for a variety of things. And I would like to mention a few. So one is nutrition, then sleep, hydration is very important, as well as blood tests to check if everything is in balance. If you have hormonal, mineral, or other imbalances, or even a health issue, and you try to solve that by yourself, you're not going to be very successful. So one of the things that I learned over the years is you always have to go at source. When you want to engineer success, and I've done it over and over and over, you have to really go to the bottom of things and then work with facts and figures. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with an entrepreneur here in Singapore. He was with me in Antler in the VC startup entrepreneurship. And I think one of the key factors is people are so driven naturally to listen to friends, their environment, colleagues, whatever it is. But this is the wrong way to go. And I tell you why. Your friend, your parent, your colleague is your colleague for a reason. These are different life areas that don't really necessarily provide the expertise that you need to move forward in an efficient manner. So instead of asking your friends about rules and regulations, for example, in a country, the way to go would be to talk to a lawyer or to go to the government website and look at the information at source. What that does is it gives you the facts and the figures to make solid, sound decisions. It sounds like a no-brainer, and actually it should be, but you would be surprised at how many people up to top levels react emotionally, or based from their fears, or based from hearsay, and forget this very simple success tool to really do your research and get to the bottom of things first before you make your decisions.
Yeah, I think that is very important, and I think this conversation with a lot of my like my mentee when I do mentorship and coaching and all that. I believe for you it's the same, right? This is the number one thing, is like the right source. You talk about source, right? But a lot of people are just go out to get all different kind of sources, but they are not the right sources, not from the right people, and like what you mentioned, they are not from the credible people or the practitioner. They're asking their friend about social media, where their friend are just using social media not for business, right? Not for entrepreneurship, not for branding. They're just for using for daily lives. They are just the common user. Not there's no strategy. There's no nothing. So they are always falling into that trap to ask people who are just sharing opinion, but these are
Yeah.
not really advice. So they are always going to the wrong people, especially for mompreneurs. They are always asking their spouse, where their spouse is not running business, and they ask their spouse about business advice. And as their spouse is always protecting them, it's always coming from the
And
anger, right? And you mentioned that when you ask your family members, you ask your friends, they only know you in your past profession. They do not know where
yeah,
you're
this
going
is a very
forward.
important
So
point, right? If you're drawn to a future vision of what you want for your life and what you want to achieve, you cannot build this based on the past. Yes, you're coming from the past. It's important to take it with you in terms of lessons and things you have experienced, but you cannot use these building bricks moving forward to where you want to be. And I'll give you the reasons why. Very pragmatic reason. Look at ChatGPT, what's happening right now. A lot of people don't know that ChatGPT is based on knowledge up to 2021 and not further. It's not a real up-to-date platform that gives you valid information. So the discussion has been going on vividly in It's a very dangerous tool to spread false information. Now they call it falsehoods. They don't even call it lies anymore, right? It's just amazing. But it's a tool to do research, to get ideas, to get inputs. I think it's a great, fantastic tool. I use it nearly every day. But if you really want to have a real life approach, I think Microsoft has come up with BART. And BART, the difference is BART is tapped into the internet. So you get up-to-date, real-life information that's researched online, right? On the actual current up-to-date, to-the-minute information that's available out there. It doesn't make it right all the time, but these are the nuances to know, right? So check your sources, make sure that you know from whom you take advice for. Or another saying goes, be very careful whom you let into your headspace and whom you take advice from, right? So it is really a real estate you want to protect. And
Correct. And also it's the mindset, right? It's the mindset of reaching to people, because sometimes why we go to people that we are comfortable with, people around us, right? Because we fear to reach out to let's say our role models. For example, my role model is Gary Vee, right? I want to be like him. So do I take advice from him, or do I take advice from my friend who's not there yet, right? So this is where I think, like for your case, right, why I invite guests, right? So that aspiring mompreneurs, right, or mothers who want to start a business, they have a role model like you, like a lot of my guests. They can see that, oh, I want to be like Sharesz, because Sharesz has achieved so much in the 30 years. Maybe in the next 10 years, I want to be maybe at least half, right, to where Sharesz is, and why I want to do the things that Sharesz is doing. So at least they have something like a leader, like a role model to do it. Like we mentioned, right? We are a product of the past, but where we want to go, we need someone who's in the future, right? It's like 10 years in advance that he or she is achieving the lifestyle that I want, or doing the things I want, I envision. Then it's the motivation. And that also brings us to the topic of this episode, right? Which is how to make a real difference in your life and career. And we talk about it in the beginning, introduction, about the sources, about who should we be listening to, right? And how we can make a real difference. And you shared with me, and just now you mentioned about the success engineering through strong self-leadership. So maybe can you talk more about that, and how mothers can make a big difference in their life and career?
So to engineer success, you first have to have a clear understanding of who you are, what you want, and where you want to go, right? You have to have a clear understanding of your goal that you want to achieve. Many people say, I want to have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean anything whatsoever, right? You have to put numbers and figures to it. Exactly defining where you want to be at is like hitting an arrow in the middle of a target. If you imagine archery, my daughter did archery for many years. So if you want to shoot an arrow and you're aiming wildly into space, like moving around and just hoping you're going to hit it somehow in the end, it's not going to work. That's just not how life works. The way it works is you have a steady posture, you focus all your strength and vision on one single spot, and then you make your maximum effort, and then you let go. And through the act of letting go, after you've done all the preparation and the best to your knowledge that you can do, you, with high probability, are going to hit that target that you set for yourself. But it has to be engineered. It's not a thing of luck. Many people think, oh, you got so lucky because you're successful. No, it's if I want to walk,
It's science, right? It's
if you
engineering,
want to
right?
walk from here to, I don't know, let's say Orchard Road, right? Or you want to take transportation, you know that you have to take either a bus or a car or a bicycle or a bike or to get there, right? Or you can walk. It's going to take a long time. But there's a mean of transportation. And to know how to get there fastest, you have to be aware of what means of transportation do I have available, and which ones can I afford, and which ones do I want to use? How long is it going to take? Which station do I have to get off to reach my destination? So you see, without clarity and focus, you're just aimlessly wandering around in space, not knowing what you're doing, wasting time, energy, resources, and money, right? And this discussion, again, coming back to yesterday's discussion that I had with that entrepreneur, it was exactly about that as well. He said, oh, I'm going a lot to networking events. I'm meeting a lot of people. And I said, stop doing that. It's a complete, utter waste of time. I'm not against networking. It's fun. It's nice. But if you're really serious about getting ahead and doing business, you set yourself a checklist of targets. You have a very clear idea of the skills, knowledge, background, and experience that you need from somebody. And then you look these people up. You can use LinkedIn, you can connect on Facebook. I mean, there's so many ways nowadays that work. I recommend LinkedIn. It's a great, fantastic tool. Don't use Sales Navigator, do personal outreach, engage in a conversation first. You have to build rapport, you have to build a human connection, right? We've known each other for how long? 6 years now, right?
Yeah.
I didn't come to you and say, oh, can I be doing a podcast? Can I be on your show? Never, not once, right? It has to be organic. When the time is right
Yeah.
and the circumstances align and the topic is appropriate, then it's going to happen. So the smell of desperation is really bad. When you reach out to people, it should first and foremost be about authenticity, genuine rapport, and honest conversations. And I would say nowadays, 90% don't do that. It's all about, hey, hi, nice to connect, buy my thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I realized that because recently, was it yesterday or the day before, I went for a networking session. You can see drastic people, how people react. People react, especially if someone that can help them, right? Or they will just talk. Then when they turn to me, oh, hi, bye. That's it. So you can see that people are not really authentically
Yeah.
connecting with people. They are going there for with a agenda. They are looking at it at a short
Mhm.
term basis, because you never know what kind of network I could bring you, right? So if you don't build that relationship, I will not be able to extend my network with you, right? Because like for your case, when you come to Singapore, there's a lot of things you need
Yeah.
support, right? But I would not know like 6 years ago you will be coming to
Neither did
Singapore.
I.
You'll be planning, correct. So that's why we have that like you mentioned, we didn't do anything. We were still kept our friendship. We still check in with each other over the years, update each others, and just maintaining that relationship. But until when you came over here and you are in the new place, you need to incorporate your company and all that. You never knew that you do all this. But some people, they just look on short term and they just burn the bridges. I think this is a very important lesson that you mentioned. It's about connecting, real connection, building real connection, building that relationship first, the friendship, and then you can talk about other stuff, because people love to work with people they trust, right? They love. So you have just put out a very good point about networking. You have to be more strategic, like you mentioned to
Yes.
the friend that you just talked to yesterday.
I would say maybe intentional, you know? So obviously, if you want to do business right now, right here, this approach doesn't work because this is long term. But if you think back in your own life, you have an example of a person you met which you really did not like, and you never forgot about that, right? And it always leaves this weird aftertaste, even if you meet them years later and they changed or circumstances have changed. That's the one thing you remember about them. And I'm not saying go out and try to please everybody. That's not what I mean. But find the people that are aligned with your value and belief system. Find the people that represent similar purpose and causes that you want to live in your life. If it's not authentic, if you try to be or do something else, it doesn't work, because when people follow you over the years, I've been online now for many, many years, right? But if you go back in time on my posts, and it's been consistent throughout time. I haven't changed the tone. I haven't changed who I am. It's been me all along. What's on the can is in the can. That's what you get. If I'm there on stage in person, on a podcast, or talk to you in private, it's the same thing, right? And you can attest to that. I mean, we had many lunches together and meetings as well.
Yes.
It doesn't really change that much in that sense.
No,
So, yeah.
you're right. You're right. Like you are the same. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you communicate, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the things that makes you who you are and makes
Yeah.
people want to connect with you,
And
because go
sorry,
ahead.
and this is what instills trust, right?
Yep.
Because they know what to expect. It's not one day like this and then it's completely different and then it's something else. It's reliable and it's steady. So this is really important. If somebody looks for a job, let's say reaching out to HR people, it gets really harder and harder and harder. But if you manage to establish a relationship and trust with the person, it's not so much about looking for a job anymore. It's more about looking for opportunities. And when the right thing pops in, you're going to be on top of the mind of that person. That's the right thing for this XYZ contact that I have. They have you in mind. Nowadays, with automation, AI, and automatic screening of CVs, it gets, of course, harder and harder because everything is automated, right? So to stand out of the crowd, everybody gets more and more and more desperate. You want to go the other way.
Yeah.
Because if someone is drowning and this is a really good image to have. If someone is drowning and they start paddling the water harder and harder and harder, it doesn't mean they get out of it. What they do is they drown faster because they exhaust themselves, they expend all their resources too fast, and the focus is wrong, right? The focus should be on swimming or floating,
Yep.
not drowning. Because if you focus on drowning, primarily, you panic. And out of a state of
Yep.
fear, we make very bad decisions. Our brain cannot think clearly. So, what I do teach in my approach, the Key 8, which is a course that covers all 8 key areas in life in how to engineer success for business, personal, financial, family, relationships, values, legacy, it goes for everything. The one key thing that I teach at the beginning of the course is a breathing exercise that takes 3 minutes in how to override fear, and override fear on a physical level. So the body system goes back to normal breathing and functioning. So you can think clearly, not out of a state of fear, but calmness, and make the right decisions. This is, I think, the key factor for success, because if you're driven by greed, or I need this opportunity, or wow, this person is important or famous, or I have to talk to them, it's the wrong motivation. It's all
Yep.
extrinsic. Extrinsic means outside in. What it should be intrinsic. It should come from within you. What do I want to create? Who do I want to be? What is relevant for me in my life, with my family, my loved ones, my boss, my colleagues, my team? What do I want to see happen, and how do I make this happen? Right? So from a consumption approach, it goes to a creation approach, which is very different. One is passive, the other one is very active. And it takes energy and time, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and when you talk about this, right, that is exactly what I was talking to Andrea, my event business partner. So we had a meeting yesterday and we talked about it, and because we run events, right, there's always a part of us that, oh, what is
Yeah.
trending, what is happening now, and should we do a AI talk or AI
Mm.
workshop? And like you mentioned, right, we should not be affected by the extrinsic part
I mean,
outside
it's good to get
coming from.
feedback. The
Yep.
easiest way to ask the people what they would like to talk about. So this is a very important point as well in terms of the message and outreach, right? It's never about you. So in everything that I've been doing, it has never been about me, myself. It has been about the cause. It has been about people. It has been about what difference can we make as a team. I'm in Rotary as well. We worked on many national projects in Malaysia and in other countries. And it's not about, oh, I'm so great and I'm fantastic and everything else. That has never been the focus. The focus has always been, what's the message and what is in it for them, right? So the value that we provide is not for ourselves, really. It's for our audience. What do they get out of it? I see we have some guests today here on the show. So please, if you have a question, just type it into the chat. If it's open, right, for the chat function.
Yes, yes, it's open.
Yeah, just please type in a question that comes to your mind. I'm more than happy, and we're more than happy to talk about that and discuss it. It's not just about me talking here for an hour and everyone has to listen. No, chip in, ask a question, and we take it from there. I love doing that because it's so much more interesting for
Mm.
the audience to listen to than when it's just me talking all the time, right?
Yeah, but for this podcast, it's all about you because it's about your story, how you overcome things, so that people can learn from you. So, what
Yeah.
what would you say is the biggest challenge for mothers who are wanting to be entrepreneurs or they are already running business? What would you say is the biggest challenge, and how can they overcome it?
Yeah. Let me think for a second. Okay, I'm going to structure it. I'll give you 5 points that come to my mind at the top of my mind. I think one of the biggest issues that moms have, especially with younger children, is guilt. So, whatever you're doing, you always feel like you should be somewhere else. When you're at home, you feel you should be working. When you're at work, you feel you should be at home with your children. I think it's a natural biological feeling because small children and mothers are a unity. And I'm not saying it should be like that because there's many circumstances like my own where it wasn't possible. I had to go out and make things happen, right? But the feeling in itself, it's just a natural reminder that you care. And that's an important one. The guilt shouldn't ride you down and make you feel horrible and horrific and, oh my God, I can never live up to all expectations. Just notice it, realize I really care and it's important to me, and that's a good thing and it's a nice thing, and then let it go. And letting it go, again, the breathing exercise really helps a lot. That's number one. Number two, I think for working moms is time. Now, there's tons of stress and time management tools out there, but I think that's not the problem. Moms are excellent at managing time. But if you have a gazillion of things on your plate, no hero can live up to that, right? So it's not really about time and stress management, it's about boundaries. And it's not about setting boundaries because we all do that. We know how to do it. We learned it over the last few years. It has been a big topic in the media, in social media, everywhere, right? The key is not setting them, but enforcing the boundaries. How do I enforce the boundaries when they're crossed, right? And to do that, it's really important. We do self-development. We have to work on our own triggers, on our fears. We have to be aware of where am I acting from a point of trauma or repetition of past experiences? And why is it so hard for me to really enforce this kind of boundary? If that is the case, you need to dig deeper. You have to go back to your upbringing, your childhood. You have to look at when did that happen before, what's the earliest time you remember, and what did happen. And many times we need a therapist that helps us to overcome it. Because if you want to work on your own issues, it's like a fish wanting to clean out his own fish tank. You can't. That our conscious mind cannot by itself work on our subconscious mind for sustainable long-term behavioral change. And I know I'm talking against everything that's out there at the moment, right? Think positive affirmations, do this, do that, do here, there. Just know the brain works in its specific ways. And if you're really serious about change, you need to work on your past experiences. That's number 2. Number three, that I think is a big problem for working moms is money. And money in the sense of you have to stretch yourself left, right, center to make everything work, especially single moms, especially moms that for whatever reason are sole responsibly for their children's upbringing. Either the spouse is not present or they don't want to live to their up to their responsibilities, whatever the reason is, right? Now, if we have a money issue, again, the problem most of the time is a lack of knowledge. If we don't know what we have to do, then how are we going to change it? And it's not a lack in you. It's not because you're stupid or you don't know or you don't have experience or you're just a woman or all that stuff that's out there as well in the back of the mind, right? Or you're a bad mom because you can't handle it. No. If you don't have bricks to build a house with, how are you going to build the house, right? So you need knowledge. You have to educate yourself step by step, little by little, financially. And that's not something that's naturally taught in school or anywhere else. And there's lots of courses out there, lots of gurus that tell you different things. Find what works for you. And then go from there, step by step. I got a very, very good advice 17 years ago from a Chinese magnate. He was a billionaire and he lives in Malaysia. He's very old age now. And at the time, we used to go for lunch every now and then for an hour or so, just to rub shoulders with a mentor like this, if you have the chance. It doesn't have to be a billionaire, it has to be a successful person that you look up to, as you mentioned before. The one thing he told me, if you read just for 5 minutes a day, The Economist, or a publication that talks about economy and money. In the beginning, you might not understand a single word, but over time, you look up what you don't understand, you can Google it online, you will build a very solid knowledge base. And you don't have to do it all in one go. Just 5 minutes a day makes a tremendous difference over just 6 months or 1 year, right? So nobody jumps up a mountain. And I said that yesterday as well. So if you're here, that's your reality, and you want to get here, right? There's different means and transportations you can take to get up the mountain. You can take a helicopter, you have to walk, whatever you're doing, but you have to go through a process to go from here to there, correct? There's a gap. Now, how do you build the gap is little by little. So step by step, by step, by step, by step. And we can do that on a daily basis. Little things, just a few minutes. It's enough. You want to exercise, you want to get back in shape. You don't have to hit the gym for an hour or 2 hours every other day. It's nonsense. Who has time for that? Working moms, they have no time for this, okay? So if you do just 5 or 10 minutes a day, focused stretching, exercise on a mat, on the floor, whatever you choose to do, it's enough. Trust me, honestly. I had a car accident. I couldn't do sports anymore. I was very athletic before, and I couldn't exercise. I couldn't work out. Find other ways to take care of yourself. That's point number 4. Working moms, they feel very guilty if they take time out for themselves. I should do this. I must do this. I have to go there. It's really important to do self-care and self-love, because I think as a parent, that is your number 1 responsibility. If you're not okay, nothing in your family is going to work. Literally nothing. You have to be able to take care of yourself first to be able to take care of others. Now, I had a lot of challenges. I was many times in the hospital, I had a lot of surgeries going on and everything else to come back to where I'm at today. And if you cannot exercise, what can you do instead? You can go to foot massage, or you can do a foot massage yourself. Take care of your body, of your nutrition. Look that you drink clean water, right? And know that in many countries, tap water doesn't have the sufficient amount of minerals or what you need. So although you're drinking a lot of water, you dehydrate. It sounds silly, but it's not, because it's based on the amount of minerals that are available in the water, especially in tropical countries, right? So all these little things are things you need to know. And the course that I built over the years, I'm not selling it here, I'm just explaining, came to happen because I went through every single area and had to rebuild from scratch over and over and over, right? And the last out of the 5 that I mentioned, celebrate your successes. Don't wait for a guy to show up with flowers, or don't wait for the family to align to applaud or something. Just go out and celebrate it yourself. Whatever makes you happy, right? For some people, it's having an ice cream. For someone else, it's going on a weekend spa trip. Whatever it is, make that space for yourself and celebrate, because you have to refill your batteries. So now we have 5 points, right? I think those are the most crucial ones.
Yeah, that is really awesome. So maybe Sharesz, you can do a quick recap about the 5 points
I
that
don't
you
know
have
if I
mentioned.
still remember all of them, right? So
Yeah,
one
because
was
go ahead.
enforcing boundaries,
Yep.
acknowledging guilt but letting it go, right? It just shows you it's important to you. The next one is
Time.
it's not about time stress management, it's enforcing boundaries, overcoming fear, doing it afraid through the breathing exercise, taking care of yourself. Little by little by little is enough. Be it financial knowledge, be it exercise. You want to eat chocolate, have that chocolate, but a little. Don't eat the whole thing, right? And on a daily basis, on a regular scale, celebrate your successes. Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself, as kind and nice as you are to everyone else running around for everybody else. If you don't take
Yep.
care of yourself, who's going to take care of the family, right?
Yep. Yep. You're absolutely right. And thanks for sharing these 5 points, right? For mothers, how they can overcome the challenges. And it's really amazing having you on this podcast. Time flies, and really would love to have more sharing from you, more golden nuggets from you. So maybe you can share with the audience, how can they get connected with you?
On LinkedIn, on the Sharesz T. Wilkinson, you can look it up in the search function. My email is info@resilientpower.global. I think it's somewhere in the description.
Yeah, this one I will put it in the
Right.
description
And
later.
then
Yeah,
I have a
or in the
link tree
comments.
with all the links that are available there, from social media, interviews, background, things that I'm doing, websites. There's a lot of things on there. So I'm a Forbes and Harvard Business Review Advisory Council's member. I'm an author. I published a variety of articles. I'm very active in many different spaces, but I'm always open to connect. So if you send me a message, a DM, or an outreach, I respond and reply to everybody. And people are many times surprised. Oh, you're so humble. No, I'm just human. I don't think just because you have done certain things, it makes you better. It doesn't make you better. It makes you different, right? You have more experience. And if you don't share the experience, what's the purpose of living? Right?
Yeah.
If you achieve a certain level of success, or a certain level of wealth, or a certain level of anything, and you don't share it, what's the purpose? We have 6 human needs, and these are really important to know about, and you can Google that as well. It's certainty, variety, growth, contribution, love and connection, and significance. And they're the same for
Wow.
everybody, right? Now our time is up. We can talk for hours here.
Yes, definitely. Like we always does, right? To talk for hours and that stuff like that. So I think
But
I think
I would
yeah.
like
Sorry,
to say
go
something.
ahead.
So I
Sure.
developed the course, The Key Eight, where I work, coach, teach, train, talk with people about all these little things that make life easier in terms of success engineering. And every Tuesday at 6:30 in the evening, Singapore time, we have an open table for discussion. So it's not me talking. We actually do have conversations with each other. It's authentic, genuine, real conversations that contribute a lot of value. And it's happening on my course platform. There's a live sessions section. You can sign up for the respective date that you would like to attend. It's on my resilientpower.graphy.com page, and it's free. There's no charge to it. Please feel free to join. If you have a question where you can find the link, send me a DM on LinkedIn. I will send you the link as well. But you're very welcome to join in and have a conversation.
Wow, thanks again, Sharesz, from sharing. And for those who want to connect with Sharesz, you can always go to the description. I've already included all the links that you can connect with her on Linktree, on LinkedIn. So just drop her a DM and she will get connected with you to share with you more things that you will be interested in. So once again, thanks, Sharesz, for
Thank
making
you.
time and sharing so much value onto this podcast. I really love connecting with you, learning a lot from you at the same time. And I believe that the mothers will take a lot from you, especially the basic stuff, right? Especially seeking for advice, who you should be seeking for advice, and all that stuff, and how you can overcome your guilt, and the five challenges that most moms will go through. Okay, so thanks a lot, Sharesz, and thanks for those who are tuning in for the guests, especially for Guy. I'm glad that Sharesz has already answered your question. And for those who are tuning in for the replay, do share with us what are your biggest takeaway from this episode, and do connect with Sharesz if you feel connected with her or you want to learn more from her. Do check out her social media platforms or even on LinkedIn. So once again, thanks everyone for listening and tuning in to Mompreneur Space live show podcast, where I interview mompreneurs from all around the world, sharing inspiring stories, tips, and hacks for your entrepreneurial journey. So thanks everyone, and I shall see you guys
Thank
next
you
week.
very much,
Thanks,
Kenneth.
Sharesz.
If
Thanks
there's one
everyone.
takeaway, be kind to yourself, because if you're not kind to ourselves, we can't be kind to others. Thank you so much. Have a nice
Wow.
day.
Thank you, Sharesz. Thank you everyone. Bye
Bye.
bye.